Google just quietly opened an extension store inside its coding IDE, and most operators are still arguing about Cursor versus Windsurf like it's last month. Here's the stake. If your dev team is paying $20 a seat for Cursor, $15 a seat for Windsurf, or $19 a seat for Copilot Business, that line item just became optional. Not gone, optional. Google put its own free IDE next to those, with plugins on day one and Gemini baked in. The IDE is called Antigravity, a VS Code fork Google shipped this year with agent workflows stitched in. And the thing that just changed is the plugin surface. Third parties can now ship extensions into it, so your dev team is no longer evaluating one tool. They are evaluating a marketplace, and Google owns the browser, the docs, and half the world's developer traffic. 90-day math tips in Google's favor. I tested it before writing this. I hit 3 URLs on antigravity.google to see what is actually public. The homepage returns 200 OK. /extensions returns 404, /marketplace also 404, so the store is not a public web page you can browse. It lives inside the IDE. VS Code's extension architecture ships with the fork. Your developer opens Antigravity, they see the plugin panel, you do not. It matters, because the whole extension conversation happens on their screen, on their timeline, without you. Here's why I'm making this video. The operator question is not which IDE looks best in a demo. It is which tool your dev team is still using in 90 days when the extension roster locks in. Google has distribution, Cursor has product love, Windsurf has speed. Only one of them ships pre-installed inside every developer's existing muscle memory, and only one can afford to give the whole thing away to move Gemini seats. Here is the headline. If one developer switches from Cursor to Antigravity and installs the free equivalents, you claw back $19 per seat on Copilot alone, plus your REST client, Env Manager, and AI Reviewer. A 5-person team, $100 to $300 a month. Phone call, not a project. $19 per seat per developer minimum. Now the ask. Subscribe to this channel because every free tier route around a paid dev tool gets covered here the day it ships. So the next Copilot repricing lands in your feed instead of on your invoice. The 5 extensions and the commands are in the pinned comment. And if your team pulls the trigger and something breaks, the Church of SEO Jesus is my free school community, link in the description, and it is where I answer when a setup goes sideways. Proof time. I asked Claude to hand me the shortlist a founder would actually give their dev team on Monday. 5 extensions. Each one had to map to a real paid tool the team could retire with a plausible per seat monthly saving. Ran it against Claude Opus 5 with a 700 token cap, system prompt locked to operator lens, output forced to compact JSON. The output ran 630 tokens and finished cleanly. Number 1 on the list was Gemini Code Assist in agent mode, runs inside Antigravity with Google's own model access on the free side. Replaces GitHub Copilot Business, $19 per seat per month. The one swap alone justifies the 90-minute install. The rest of the shortlist stacks on top. A Postman-compatible REST client instead of a paid Postman workspace. A container manager instead of a desktop's business tier. An AI code reviewer instead of a per-seat reviewer bot. An Env Manager instead of a Doppler seat. Every single one is a line item somebody on your team is already expensing. Not one of them is a wild pick. Every single one has a free tier or a free equivalent already shipping today. The EST monthly savings column totaled roughly $70 per seat per month across all 5. On a 5-seat team, over $4,000 a year from one Monday morning install session. Now the caveat, because I owe you one. Google kills products. 2-year Antigravity is not a 5-year procurement decision. The play is not to standardize your whole company on this today. The play is to run a bake-off. Here is the 7-day move. 1. Give one developer, not the whole team, Antigravity on a throwaway repo. 2. Install those 5 extensions. 3. Run their normal workflow for 10 working days and count merged pull requests, bugs caught, and hours saved. 4. Hand me a 1-page memo at the end. What got replaced, what stayed, what saved money, what cost time. It is the whole decision. If the memo says Antigravity plus extensions matches Cursor and it is free, you cancel the seats you do not need and keep Cursor for the developer who loves it. If the memo says it is still rough, you learnt it for the cost of one developer's 10 days. There is no scenario where this experiment costs you more than a normal sprint. And there is no scenario where ignoring it for 90 days does not let a leaner competitor front-run your tooling spend. The one who moves first pays the least. Open Antigravity's extension panel yourself right now. Sort by install count. Count how many of the top 10 replace a tool you currently pay for. The number is the proof, not me telling you. One more thing that matters. Cursor and Windsurf will respond. They have to. The pricing gap I just quoted probably compresses inside 60 days. Cursor drops a free tier, Windsurf ships a plugin service of its own, Copilot rewrites its included limits. Fine, it does not change the memo, it just means the memo becomes a habit. Every quarter, one developer, one throwaway repo, one bakeoff. Same discipline as switching accountants or fulfillment. You do not marry your first quote, you do not switch on vibes, you audit the invoice, run a trial, keep the receipts. Antigravity's extension surface just added another supplier to your DevTool rotation. Nothing more romantic than that. And here is the punchline. The operator who runs 3 supplier rotations a year pays less for tools than the one who runs 0, without even trying. The extension surface tilts that math in your direction for the first time in 5 years, because the incumbent tool now competes with a free stack that Google is subsidizing on purpose. The window is now, not next year. Next video I am doing the Cursor countermove. If Cursor announces a free tier or a plugin surface of its own in the next 2 weeks, that video ships the same day. Subscribe so you catch it before your dev lead does. Same for Windsurf, same for Copilot, every drop day of. The dev team can pretend they knew already.